Hello everyone and welcome to another video. Today I'm going to share with you 7 new tips on how to do winter photography or snow photography. You get the idea. So let's get started and not waste any more time. Tip number 1 would be to photograph after the sunset. This is one of the seasons that look so good after the sun is setting, and the main reason for that is because the snow reflects the ambient light, and right after the sun is setting you'll get some purple and some blue and some dark blue shades into the snow, and this will look really good, but it only looks good during winter. So this will be my first tip for you. Tip number 2: if you don't have clouds during a sunrise, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're not gonna have a spectacular moment. The most important thing is to get there half an hour earlier, prepare your gear, and you look at the sunrise and then you turn your back to the sunrise, because at some point before the sunrise, sky is gonna have a tint of blue right at the horizon, and then above that tint of blue you will have a really interesting tint of red, if you want, a really interesting place where it's gonna be red. So you are getting some reflection that it's prior to the sunrise, and that will create an interesting image. Tip number 3: make sure you capture the first rays of the sun. During winter, the snow is catching some beautiful light, and as I told you in tip number 1, it reflects light perfectly, and that is why the first rays of light look so good, because the snow is having that pinkish or magenta look that looks so good, and you need to position yourself in a way that you see those beautiful colors and the slight shadows in the snow. Tip number 4: it's about shadows in the snow. Position yourself in a way that you kind of see the shapes the snow is forming, especially on top of the mountain where the snow is blown out by the wind. The snow creates some beautiful and really interesting shapes, but in order for you to capture those shapes you need shadows, not dark shadows, so don't shoot necessarily completely into the light, but you need to have some shadows, because this is what will create separation between forms and between shapes. So make sure you pay attention to that. Tip number 5: pay attention to close-ups, pay attention to details. I'm not talking necessarily about the smallest details. You can do that and it can look so great, especially when you have ice. It looks great, but I'm talking about close-ups where you have a small pine tree, a small tree, or a small stone, or anything that looks great, and it's surrounded by the snow shapes, if you want, or the snow volume. And I already told you in the previous tip that being on top of a mountain or being on a place where the wind blows the snow, it's really great because it forms much more interesting shapes than in places where the wind doesn't blow. Tip number 6: light and darkness. These are 2 elements that will look so beautiful in a photo, and usually what you need to find is a subject that it's in full light, and then you have the background that is in darkness. This will lead to a really great and beautiful separation between the subject and the background. And the last tip, tip number 7, looks okay. And the last tip is about fog and sunrise. Just because you see fog during a sunrise, this doesn't mean that you don't have to go there, or if you are at the location, this doesn't mean that it's not going to be a beautiful sunrise. And the main reason for this is because 1 minute the landscape can look like this, and then the sun is coming up and you have a chance for it to look like this. So being there and having patience to stay up until the last moment, it's a really good quality to possess as a landscape photographer. Now I hope that these 7 tips were useful for you, and that you decided already to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you're not already subscribed. But don't forget to click the notification bell icon, because this way you make sure you know exactly when I do a new upload. And if you're already subscribed, Thanks for watching, thanks for sharing, and thanks for commenting. And until next time, keep on photographing. It's the only way that you can get better. Bye bye.